Happy New Year, Virgo. Dadhichi here from astrology.com.au. This 11th house of friendship is an important point in your horoscope, and as you can see, the North Node, what we call the karmic point here, and the South Node here in the opposite direction, moving through this area. On January 11, the lunar eclipse takes place here. Eclipses always take place near these nodes. So a tremendous amount of desire and emotional connectivity has been building here in this part of the zodiac. And this would be one of the key punctuating features of 2020. I'm not going to talk about every single house here. Just want to talk about a half a dozen to a dozen important transits, this being one of the most important. And you'll see as I'm talking, a theme is going to develop here, coming back to this area, and just how important it is for you to work on that. Now, the 11th house is also the house of desires. This North Node is the planet of desires, because desires are what fuel your karma. And this shows us your karma as it moves in a reverse motion through the zodiac. That's going to shift on May 5th into the career sector. The emphasis you've placed through this period on friendships, relationships of a social nature, are definitely going to move into a more serious modality towards the middle of the year, Virgo, when this North Node moves into Gemini. Some astrologers are of the opinion that this is one of the best signs for the North Node. And therefore we see that this year for you has a lot to do with finding your direction. This 10th house is also called the house of karma in Vedic astrology. So when the karmic planet moves here, there's going to be a tremendous shift and a refocus of your attention to the reason you're here, what it is you want to do. One of the hints there, which I was talking about late last year, was this creative impulse and really working and doing what you want to do. And if you can't do what you want to do for the time being, to really desire doing what you are doing. That means putting your attention into the work you do and loving it, at least finding something in it that you love. And that generates tremendous energy and opportunity through these karmic energies, these processes. Temporarily, Saturn will move into your 6th house on March 22nd. This is also a work sector of your horoscope, relating to the quality and the style of work you do, the co-workers you deal with, and also the health factors in your life. So this is going to be intimately linked to this creative impulse, the work that you're doing towards the middle of 2020. That actually retrogrades back into Capricorn again around July 4th. So you're not quite done with this 5th house, children, creativity, romance, love affairs, and the creative mind. These are all the areas that are also focused, as we mentioned, in December 2019. Having so many planets here, you can't help but have to deal with that aspect of your life. And you will be forced to do that again when Saturn retrogrades back into that area. Now, there are a couple of other eclipses. In fact, there are 6 eclipses this year, and I think I'm going to focus on those as the main thrust of what's happening for you in 2020, or the main features. July 5th, a lunar eclipse here in this 5th house of Capricorn. I just talked about that. And that's just going to amplify the energies of this past karma. Now, the past karmic point shows us what you have to lose. So there may be some sacrifice that has to be made. And of course, later you'll realize that, well, rather earlier you will have realized that from this transit of the North Node into your career sector. Work, play, you have to sacrifice. Nothing worth attaining doesn't involve some sort of sacrifice. And so the romantic dalliances, maybe some aspect of your creative life, some hobby or some spare time that you've been allocating to me, has to be given up for a greater cause, for a greater ambition as these transits take place. The November 30 eclipse is a lunar eclipse, and again, we keep coming back to these points in the horoscope. Gemini, 10th house, career. So it's rather late in the year, but you can see you're getting premonitions or little previews of what's coming by virtue of these other aspects and planetary transits. But that's an important and defining one later in the year, and shows us that you may well start to finally understand what it is that you have to do in life, what your purpose here in life is. Now, on December 15, a departure from all this work and social and creative to this solar eclipse in your 4th house. That has to do with your family life. It has to do with your mother. The sun being involved has to do with your father. And so these eclipses, because they naturally involve the moon and the sun, the two natural mother-father planets, indicate some coming together of these energies or an integration. Now, integration is instrumental in inner happiness. And it's not much mentioned, but this 4th house has everything to do with integration of one's self, one's ethical and moral standards, and therefore one's inner peace, happiness, and harmony. This is a lovely transit at the end of the year. This eclipse brings your attention to this question. Not what is it that I'm doing, what is it that I'm gaining, who is it that I'm loving, although that's important too. The moon starts out with Neptune in January, showing relationships. All of that's important, but of what use is that if you're not happy within yourself? So I think the defining transit, December 15, 2020, is this one. And everything builds to this. Everything is really a jigsaw piece of the larger puzzle of one's personal happiness. So I think, Virgo, this is where everything's going. The final two important transits that I wanted to talk about, December 17 and 19, respectively, the transits of Saturn and Jupiter, moving out of this 5th house of creativity, entertainment, fun, romance, into the more serious and laborious 6th house of work practices, daily routine, etc. So you can see the sacrificial part of the reading for you for 2020. Not a bad thing. It's just a matter for you to determine what is it that's making you happy, what is it you have to do to sacrifice those aspects of your existence to move to the next level. And that, I think, is the key for you in 2020. Join me at astrology.com.au. I have the 3,000 word yearly forecast that I've written just for you. I'm here if you need a more detailed analysis. You've got some specific problem, we can address that together. Just drop me a note here and don't forget to subscribe. In the meantime, Happy New Year. I hope it's all wonderful for you, and I'll see you next month in February. Bye-bye.